They say Lagos never sleeps, not even the ocean that guards her shores. At Eligushi Beach, where laughter mixes with the sound of crashing waves and music from faraway speakers, something ancient still stirs beneath the water. Some say if you listen closely after midnight, you might hear a woman's voice singing beneath the tide. This is where Emeka's story began. Emeka was a young photographer, bold, ambitious, with dreams far bigger than the city lights that surrounded him. Every evening, he came to Eligushi Beach to capture sunsets that could make a stranger pause. But this particular evening felt different. The wind was warm, and the waves moved like they were whispering secrets. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky orange and gold, Emeka raised his camera, and that's when he saw her. A woman sitting alone by the water, her white dress fluttering softly in the breeze. Her skin glowed under the fading sunlight, and her long black hair shimmered as if it had caught the reflection of the sea itself. Wasn't posing. She wasn't aware of the world. She was simply there, lost in her own rhythm, like she belonged to the ocean. Emeka lowered his camera slowly. Something about her presence made him forget he was supposed to be taking pictures. He walked closer. The sound of the waves grew louder whoosh, whoosh blending with the faint laughter of Lagos nightlife behind him. Emeka, excuse me, sorry to disturb you. You look like you could be part of this sunset. Woman turned. Her eyes deep and shining, the color of sea glass met his. Amara said part of it. Maybe I am. A voice had a melody to it, almost like she was singing each word instead of speaking. Emeka said, wow, that's poetic. I'm Emeka the photographer. I come here for shots, but I've never seen anyone sit so peacefully by the water before. Most people are scared of the waves at this hour. Amara answered, I'm not most people. A small smile curved her lips, and for a moment, time stood still. They talked until the night deepened. Emeka told her about his dreams, opening a photo studio, capturing the soul of Lagos. She listened with calm fascination, her gaze sometimes drifting toward the sea as though something was calling her. When he asked for her number, she laughed softly. Amara, maybe tomorrow if the sea allows me to stay. And before he could say another word, she walked toward the waves barefoot, her white dress brushing against the sand, and disappeared into the night fog. That night, Emeka couldn't sleep. He replayed her words over and over, if the sea allows me to stay. Was she? Did she speak as if the ocean could decide her fate? He returned to Eligushi the next day, hoping to find her again. The same place, the same hour, the same golden sky. And there she was sitting by the same rock, staring at the horizon. He smiled, she turned, and this time she greeted him first. Amara, you came back. Emeka, I told you, I don't stop until I capture beauty. They both laughed. From that day, they met almost every evening. She told him stories about the sea, stories that sounded too real to be fantasy. About how the ocean has moods, how waves can carry whispers, and how sometimes the water grants love but never forever. Emeka listened, not realizing these were warnings wrapped in wonder. Sometimes love begins without thunder or lightning. It starts quietly, two souls drawn together by something greater than reason. Emeka didn't know that Amara wasn't just another woman who loved the sea. Was the sea? The ocean was already writing their story in the sand. So if you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more African folktales like this, so let's continue. Days turned to weeks, and every visit to Eligushi became a ritual. Emeka would bring his camera, Amara would bring stories. Together, they created moments that felt eternal. But Emeka began to notice strange things, like how her footprints disappeared too quickly, or how her skin glistened with salt even when she hadn't touched the water. Still, he didn't ask. He didn't want to break the spell. He just wanted to believe. And so, every evening, he photographed her by the shore, though in every picture, she looked slightly blurred, like the camera couldn't fully capture her. Until one evening, she asked him the question that would change everything. Amara, Emeka, If you knew someone didn't belong to your world, would you still love them? Emeka paused. The wind tugged at his shirt, and the waves grew louder, almost as if the sea itself waited for his answer. Emeka, softly, if love is real, maybe it doesn't belong to any world. Amara smiled sadly, and the tide rose higher that night than it ever had before. He didn't know that the sea was listening. Once the sea listens to a love like that, it always takes something back. If you were Emeka, and you fell in love with someone mysterious who might not belong to your world, would you still follow your heart or walk away before it's too late? Tell us in the comment now. Let continue. Love beneath the tide. Lagos is a city that moves too fast for love. But somehow, at Elegushi Beach, time seemed to slow for Emeka and Amara. Every evening, the world faded, leaving only two hearts, one made of flesh and the other of water. Weeks turned into months. Emeka and Amara became inseparable. They would walk barefoot along the beach, talking about life, dreams, and what it means to belong. Sometimes she would vanish for days, only to return when the moon was full. When Emeka asked where she went, she would smile gently and say, "I went home beneath the waves." He always thought she was joking, that maybe she lived across the island or on a boat somewhere. But deep down, part of him knew she wasn't like anyone he'd ever met. One Saturday night, Emeka took her to a small art exhibition in Victoria Island. His photographs of Lagos life were on display: yellow buses, street lights, faces filled with hustle and hope. But the one picture everyone paused at was titled, "The Woman by the Sea." It was Amara sitting by the rocks, her face soft but unreadable, the ocean behind her glowing like silver glass. Emeka smiled and said, "Well, that's because she's more than real." Amara blushed, lowering her gaze. When she looked back up, a single tear, small and shimmering, slipped down her cheek. It wasn't clear like water. It sparkled like a drop of light. He tried to wipe it, but it vanished before his fingers touched her skin. Later that night, as they stood by the water again, Lagos lights glittering behind them, Emeka finally asked, "Amara, who are you really?" Smiled the kind of smile that hides truth behind beauty. "Amara, would you believe me if I said I'm not meant to be here?" Emeka said, "You mean Lagos?" Amara answered, "I mean this world." He laughed nervously, thinking she was being poetic again. But her eyes held an ocean's sadness. That night, the sea grew restless, waves crashed higher, as if warning her that her time was running out. The ocean had rules. No spirit could walk too long among men without paying a price. But Amara, she had fallen in love. And love makes even the sea forget its own laws. Days passed, and something about her began to change. Her hands felt colder, her eyes grew brighter, almost glowing when the moonlight touched them. Emeka noticed, but love made him blind. He didn't question, he didn't fear. He simply lived, capturing her laughter, her voice, her silence. Until one night, a storm rolled in. The wind howled. The beach was nearly empty, but Amara stood by the rocks, watching the waves with trembling hands. Emeka said, "We should go. The storm's coming." Amara answered, "No, I must stay. The sea is calling me." Lightning flashed, and for the first time, Emeka saw something shimmer faintly behind her back. A thin, silvery glow along her skin, almost like scales. He froze, turned, eyes filled with tears and light. Amara said, "I told you, Emeka, I don't belong here." Emeka whispered, "Then what are you?" Amara answered, "A memory of the ocean, a daughter of its depth. But I wanted to know love, even for a short time." The storm raged, but in that chaos they held each other, human in spirit, flesh and water, bound by something neither could explain. Amara said, "Promise me something." Emeka answered, "Anything for you." Amara then said, "If the sea takes me one day, don't mourn me. Just come to the shore and listen. I'll always answer." Tears mixed with rain as he whispered, "I won't let the sea take you." But love cannot fight destiny. If you're feeling the emotion of this story, Take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who believes in love that defies reason. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful African folktales await you right here. The storm eventually calmed, but after that night, Amara started to fade not physically, but in spirit. Her laughter was softer, her eyes distant. She began saying things like, "The ocean grows impatient," and "Love has made me heavy, and the sea does not forgive weight." Emeka didn't understand, but he could feel something slipping away. Then, one evening, she gave him a small seashell glowing faintly blue, like moonlight captured inside. Amara said, "Keep this close to your heart. When you hear the waves, it will whisper my name." He held it tight. But that night, she didn't return home with him. He waited at the beach until sunrise. But she was gone. Love had come like the tide, fast, full, and bright, and now it was retreating. But the sea never takes without giving something back. And what it would give Emeka next was a secret meant for the heart, not the eyes. Do you believe love can exist between two worlds, between the living and the spiritual? Would you still love someone if you knew they weren't entirely human? Share your thoughts in the comments. The secret of the sea. When love meets destiny, one must bend, and the ocean never bends. Elegushi Beach had gone quiet after the storm, but Emeka's heart had not. Days, he searched the shore, camera in hand, calling her name against the wind. But all he found were waves and echoes. People said he had gone mad. Beach sellers whispered that the photographer who loved a spirit now spoke to the sea. But Emeka didn't care. Every sunset, he returned to the same rock, the same rhythm of the waves. Until one night, when the tide rose unusually high, he heard her voice again. Amara called Emeka. He turned sharply. There she was standing ankle-deep in the water, her white dress glistening under the moonlight. But this time, she looked different. Skin shimmered faintly, like water flowing beneath it. Hair sparkled, as though each strand carried the reflection of 1,000 tiny stars. Emeka ran to her, his heart pounding with relief. He stopped just before the tide touched his shoes. Emeka asked her, "Amara, where did you go? I thought I lost you." Smiled sadly. Amara answered him, "You were never meant to find me." Emeka replied, "Why do you say that? You told me you loved me." Amara said, "I do, but love doesn't erase destiny." The sea roared softly behind her, like a living thing listening to their every word. She continued, "I was born beneath this water, Emeka, my love. My mother was a guardian spirit, a river goddess, the deep. For centuries, I watched men come and go along these shores, building their cities, chasing their dreams. I never thought I'd envy them. But one evening, I saw you, your camera pointed at the sunset, your eyes full of wonder. You looked at the world the way I look at the sea. That's when I wanted to know what it means to love." Stepped closer. Water dripped from her feet, even though she hadn't touched the sea. Emeka whispered, "You're not human." "Amara, I'm something in between, but the ocean grows jealous. It doesn't like to share its daughters." Tears welled in Emeka's eyes. He took her hands, cold, almost translucent, and held them tightly. "Emeka, then run away with me. We'll leave Lagos anywhere far from here. We'll start over." Amara smiled faintly, her eyes glistening with sorrow. Amara said to him, "I wish it were that simple. You can't run from water, Emeka. It's in the air, in our blood, in the sound of every wave that breaks. The ocean is everywhere." That night, the sea began to rise. Waves rolled higher, white foam glowing like liquid moonlight. Amara turned toward the horizon, her expression distant, listening. Amara said, "It's calling me. The sea wants me back." Emeka's voice broke. Emeka with pain said to her, "My love, then fight it, please, for me." Amara said, "If I fight it, it will take you too." Lifted her hand, and the wind stilled. The world grew quiet, almost sacred. Amara said to him, "I wanted to show you something." Reached for his seashell pendant, the one she had given him. It began to glow, casting a soft blue light that reflected in their eyes. Amara gave it to him and said, "This is a piece of my soul. When you hold it, you'll never be alone. Even if I return beneath the waves, I'll still hear your heartbeat through this shell." And for a moment, Emeka believed that love could outshine fate. But fate was patient. The water crept higher, circling their feet. The waves whispered her name. Glow grew brighter, too bright to be human. Amara broke down in tears and said to him, "My love, don't look for me after tonight." Emeka pleading to her, saying, "No, you promised I'd hear you again. You said love never dies." Amara answered, "It doesn't die, it changes form." Leaned forward, pressing her lips to his, a kiss that tasted of salt, sorrow, and eternity. Then, as lightning flickered across the sky, she stepped back, and the sea swallowed her whole. Just like that, she was gone. No scream, no struggle, just the gentle pull of the tide claiming what it once owned. Emeka fell to his knees, holding the glowing seashell tight against his chest. It pulsed once, then dimmed. The beach fell quiet, as though even the sea mourned her departure. Days passed. Then weeks. People said they saw Emeka walking the beach, speaking softly to the water. But one evening, something miraculous happened. A group of fishermen swore they saw a figure in the waves, a woman with flowing hair, singing in a language older than time. And beside her voice, they heard another, faint but familiar. Emeka's. If this story is touching your heart, pause for a second to subscribe, so you never miss the next chapter of love, mystery, and Lagos magic. And if you believe love can cross even the line between worlds, hit that like button to keep this story alive. Love doesn't always end where the world expects it to. Sometimes it simply dives deeper, beyond time, beyond breath. And though Amara had returned to the sea, her spirit lingered in the rhythm of every wave, whispering his name through the shell he wore. But fate wasn't done. Because on one quiet morning, as the sun rose over Elegushi, a small boy found a camera washed ashore. Inside it were hundreds of pictures, sunsets, waves, and a blurred woman smiling at the sea. And beneath the last photograph, there was a message written in wet sand. Love never drowns, it just learns to breathe underwater. If you had one chance to love someone beyond your world, knowing you might lose them, would you take it? Or would you protect your heart instead? The Song of the Waves. Months passed since the night the ocean took Amara back. Elegushi Beach was never the same. The tides whispered differently now, as if they carried secrets from another world. Fishermen said the waves hummed softly before dawn, a melody that made them lower their nets and listen. Every evening, when the sun sank into the horizon, a lone figure walked the sand, Emeka. He no longer brought his camera. He didn't need to capture sunsets anymore. He came only to feel, to breathe where her spirit once stood. The seashell pendant hung around his neck, faintly glowing whenever the wind touched it. At times, he could swear he heard her voice in its hum, tender, patient, eternal. One evening, as he sat watching the water, an old woman selling shells approached. Old woman, "Ah, young man, you again, always by the sea. Are you waiting for someone?" Emeka smiled faintly and said, "I suppose I am." She tilted her head. "You remind me of the sea itself, beautiful but lonely." Then, as she turned to leave, she paused. "Old woman, do you know the story of the Spirit Bride?" Emeka looked up. Spirit Bride. Old woman, a tale from long ago. A goddess once fell in love with a mortal. The heavens forbade it, but her love was pure. So when she was taken back to the deep, she sang to him every morning. Her song became the rhythm of the waves. The woman's voice softened. "Old woman, they say those who truly listen can still hear her." She left, leaving Emeka staring at the sea. That night, as the moon rose full and silver, Emeka closed his eyes. He could hear it, a distant melody beneath the waves. It was her. Amara said softly, "Emeka, the tide brings what the heart remembers. The sea is not my prison, but my home, and now it holds our love safe forever." Tears slipped down his cheeks. He clutched the pendant as it glowed brighter than ever before, lighting up the sand around him. Then, something miraculous happened. From the surf, a single pearl rolled to his feet. Inside it shimmered an image, Amara, smiling, her eyes full of peace. He picked it up gently and whispered, "Emeka, I hear you, Amara, I'll never forget." Years later, Emeka became known across Lagos as the man who painted the ocean. Art hung in galleries from Victoria Island to Ikoyi, each canvas capturing the light of Elegushi, every stroke kissed by the memory of the sea. But one painting stood apart, a woman in white standing on the shore, her eyes watching the horizon. Below it, he carved a single line. "Love is the tide that never truly leaves." A group of children played near the waves. One of them, a little girl with curious eyes, picked something from the sand. A seashell pendant, faintly glowing blue. Ran to her mother, excited. "Mama, look what I found." The mother smiled. "That's beautiful, my dear. The sea must like you." As they walked away, a gentle wave washed over the spot where she stood, almost like a blessing. For a second, the sound of laughter and the hum of the ocean intertwined, two voices whispering as one. Love never dies. It simply changes form, from touch to memory, from sight to song, from heartbeat to tide. And on quiet nights, when Lagos sleeps and the sea glows silver, some say you can still see them, the photographer and the spirit, dancing beneath the moonlight of Elegushi Beach. Their love eternal. Their story immortal. If this story touched your heart, show it some love, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Because somewhere out there, another tale of love and destiny is waiting to be told. You wouldn't want to miss it. Remember, sometimes the truest love isn't found on land. It's whispered in the song of the waves. Do you believe true love can cross the line between the physical and the spiritual world? Or do you think destiny always wins in the end?